We don't build technology in a vacuum.
The importance is the creativity of the person who's sitting and working with the machine.
I set the technology vision. How do we reduce friction and unlock creativity in the next generation of workflows?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, isn't it?
APIs are absolutely critical to our strategy and AI-driven workflows of tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to Making the Media. My name's Craig Wilson, and with me is my co-host Ray Thompson. Ray, how's it going with you today?
I'm doing great, Craig. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. But anyway, what do we have on the show today, man?
Well, today we're going to be talking about something that caused quite a bit of buzz at the IBC show in Amsterdam just a few weeks ago. Our guest today is Tom Sharma. He's Avid CTO, and he's going to be talking more about other things, but mainly focusing on Content Core, which we just announced at IBC. This is a new content data platform coming from Avid. Like I said, caused quite a bit of buzz at the show, and we're going to let Tom dig into it and explain more in detail.
Yeah, that's right. But we also wanted to find out a bit more about strategy, cloud and hybrid workflows, partnerships with cloud providers, and the way the industry is moving. So let's find out more. And I started by asking Tom to outline his background in media technology.
My career has always been at the intersection of media and technology. I started at NBC Universal and then Hulu, where I firsthand saw how digital distribution was reshaping the industry. After that, I launched my own digital venture. It was called Impact Digital Media, working with studios and networks across the world to modernize their workflows. I exited the business, and at that point, I shifted into ad tech, and partly out of curiosity, asking myself why brands like Tide invest so heavily in advertising, right? I was just curious, like, why are they putting the money into media? Like, how does it work? The mechanics of, media creation to monetization. That gave me a very unique perspective on the economics of media and not just the technology, right? And, I'll say today, as the CTO of Avid, I bring all of those together, content creation, content distribution, and monetization. And my focus now is to how do we reduce friction and unlock creativity in the next generation of workflows. So yeah, I mean, I'll say I'm a media technology native, and I was fortunate to be able to see the entire supply chain, like I said, from creation to monetization.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? That business aspect of looking at it as well as the technology side and the creativity side. So as chief technology officer, for people who maybe don't know, explain a little bit about what your role is then at Avid.
Yeah, so as a CTO, I set the technology vision and ensure that everything we build aligns with the industry, as we see from where we are. And that means leading our engineering teams across the board, right? Which includes all products, Media Composer, Media Central, Pro Tools, Sibelius. I can go on. Basically, every product line in the Avid stable, if you may, right? So again, leading engineering teams, shaping our cloud and AI strategy, making sure our products are interoperable with broader ecosystem. You know, one of the biggest things I personally look at from my perspective is shipping. As the CTO, one of the biggest things is how fast we can ship quality software. So yeah, pretty much like I said, vision and strategy across all of engineering.
One of the things you mentioned there was about working with the industry. So how do you work with industry really to sort of drive new solutions forward?
Yeah, so first thing, Craig, look, we don't build technology in a vacuum, right? We build it with and for the industry. A good example is how we are aligning with Movie Lab's 2030 vision. We're collaborating across that ecosystem on interoperability, shared ontologies, and even practical things like, file naming standards. So solutions work beyond just Avid products. And then, we also engage with standard bodies, be it SMT, participating in pilot programs, joint proof of concepts. So, we bring things like content core to the market, but so that it's not just an Avid idea, it's about shaping something that's going to be differentiating and it's going to be ready for the industry. For me, honestly, the key is listening first and then building together. Like that's how I kind of look at, participation and driving new solutions forward with the industry.
Yeah, you mentioned Avid Content Core, and we'll certainly come back to that a little bit later on. You talked about partnerships there. I mean, Avid recently announced a partnership with AWS. So, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, great question, Craig. So, look, I'm excited about the partnership with AWS. At its core, Avid has always been and believed in hybrid and multi-cloud architectures. And I say that because I know customers want flexibility, they don't want lock-in. So with AWS, we're co-developing Content Core on their cloud platform. And more than just co-developing, on the platform, we're actually leveraging their engineering expertise. And what I mean by that, Craig, is we have AWS engineers hands on keyboard working with our engineers to come up with a world-class differentiating solution. But that said, I want to be clear, Content Core itself is cloud agnostic, right? What we're trying to do is federated search with a distributed storage, making media and metadata accessible across clouds, on-prem, and hybrid environments, right? AWS is a fantastic partner, but the bigger story here is how we're developing an open foundation that works across the ecosystem. So I don't want it to, come across as, look, we're developing a solution in AWS, and that's the only place it's going to work. It's an amazing professional relationship we have with them. We are developing on their cloud, leveraging some of their native services, and like I said, some of their engineers. But the point of our products are very clearly, like I said, multi-cloud, including on-prem. We really are aligning ourselves to the 2030 vision, which means, hey, the apps come to the media and the media doesn't have to come to the apps. So what that really means is if you're using GCP and that's where your media is, guess what? We'll come to GCP where your media sits. We will, index it and we'll make it searchable. Again, cloud agnostic. But yeah, AWS, excited because like I said, we're going beyond just developing in their cloud. We're leveraging their engineering expertise and talent as well.
One thing that I guess that follows on from that is about openness.
Yeah.
Part of openness, obviously, is also about API. So, how important do you think it is for Avid to have, an open API philosophy, if you like?
Yeah, so great question again, Craig. So look, APIs are absolutely critical to our strategy. I mean, from the very beginning, we're designing an API first. It's not one of those things that you go back and then you retrofit. My whole goal is leverage open API specifications, make sure they're well documented and they're easy to integrate. And like I said, it's the strategy is from the get-go and not after the fact, right? And my goal is, again, we also eat our own dog food, which means our own products, the UI that we're building on top, is going to use the same set of APIs, which basically ensures they're production ready and not just theoretical, if you may, right? And honestly, the reason APIs are even more critical is it's the future, right? The future is not about humans clicking in a UI. It's going to be about that plus AI agents that are automating and driving workflows end to end. And to enable agents, we need machine consumable contracts, policy informants, and things like MCP, right? An MCP server works on the back of APIs. So if it's not API first, I can't have an MCP, that's basically front ending it, which means, what, we will not be able to enable AI agents. My point here is API is not just about integration today. They are absolutely the foundation of interoperability and AI driven workflows of tomorrow, as far as what we are concerned and how we look at the landscape moving forward.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about AI and automation. Obviously, within some of the Avid products, we have AI services around transcription and in Pro Tools and Media Composer and in Media Central, and obviously in Media Central as well. There's the Media Central rules engine, which can enable automation and as well.
Yeah,
When you're speaking to customers,
yeah.
what's their view of AI and automation around the development and delivery of more efficient workflows?
Yeah, I'm glad you said more efficient workflows. I want to be clear, like I don't see AI and automation, replacing, human, curiosity and talent, if you may. And what I mean by that is, I mean, look, I mean, AI is an accelerator. It's not a replacement, right? And what I hear from customers And when I see myself is also, it's very simple. It's about how do we give, the editors and the storytellers more time so that they can focus on creativity and less on chasing and preparing media, right? And what I mean by that is, look, at the end of the day, the goal, Craig, is how do you take raw media and how fast you can create finished stories so you can allow, the networks and the studios to monetize that media. And AI is going to be a great accelerator. It's going to be your partner, but it's not a replacement. I can't see that because you know what? Look, AI or any technology is always about repeatability and automation. Human brain is about curiosity. So I think it's a great partner, but it's not a replacement as far as what we're hearing and what we see as the future, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, isn't it? That it really is about that creative assistance as opposed to the AI, actually making the ultimate decision. The importance is the creativity of the person who's sitting and working with the machine.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, what is the goal here? The goal is take raw media and create finished stories as fast as you can, right? And our goal is to give everything to the storytellers so it can make their life easy and they get more time back on what they do best, which is storytelling. Today they're chasing media, working on the workflows. How much can we automate? How much can we preempt? How can we make their lives easier? Like that's the goal here. And I mean, a great example of that is, at IBC, we did a demo where we showed an AI agent that actually can search in Content Core, right? And then after it finds the relevant media, it actually imports it into Media Composer. It actually opens it up in a bin, and what I like to say is makes it editorial ready. So when an editor comes in and they're on their seat, they're ready to go. They don't have to go search, find the media, import the media, get it in the bin, get ready for editing. All of that done. Give you the chance to kind of take your time back and work on what you do best, which is storytelling.
Yeah, and absolutely, that I always think is that's the focus. Give people the time to really put in that human insight, that human oversight, the creativity that you talked a little bit earlier on. You mentioned IBC there, and IBC, of course, is one of the major trade shows that we have across the year. But it's one touch point that we have with customers. And I know one of the things that you're very keen to do is to keen to speak to customers all the time. So when you're speaking to customers, what are they telling you about their future strategy, and how does that then influence the decisions and the direction that we are going?
Yeah, no, correct. So bottom line is, look, customers want flexibility. Okay, that's what we hear. Some are leaning very hard cloud first, especially for when it comes to like global collaboration and new workflows. Others are committed to hybrid models because cost, performance, compliance still make on-prem an important piece. But there's one universal desire that kind of bubbles up, if you may, and that is they want to avoid lock-in, they want openness, they want interoperability, and they want the ability to evolve without re-architecting everything, right? In addition to that, I also hear a lot about AI and automation, not as a buzzword, but as a way to speed up, like I said, repetitive tasks like tagging, searching, prepping content. Bottom line, look, customers want to free their teams to focus on creative and monetization. And how that influences us, like I said, one of the foundational pieces of the new architecture is interoperability, API first, right? Ensuring that whatever we develop can be basically flexible and interoperable so customers can get the best of workflows. So yeah, I mean that's how we're leveraging, what we hear and the need of the hour, which is flexibility and interoperability.
You mentioned right at the start about the various different products and teams that you're involved with. So what are some of the areas of innovation that excite you most at the moment?
I will say the first thing is, what we're doing in terms of content core. And I know I'm talking from a product perspective, but look, at the end of it, I mean, content core is the foundation layer for future media workflows, right? It basically manages and indexes content and metadata across on-prem, cloud, and hybrid. So teams can search, access, and collaborate without worrying where the media lives. So the point is, you've got a federated search, distributed media, right? So that's exciting because today everyone's locked in. Like I said, the media file has to be brought or streamed, right, or to an editor so they can start working. Instead, you know, if we can give web-based editing, workflows, that's exciting. Then on top of that, you know what? Look, AI, that's very exciting as well, because at the end of the day, we want to automate as much as we can. Like I said, because it gives our customers the power to get the time back. So, when you add this hybrid cloud architectures, interoperability, AI-powered agents, these are the most exciting innovations that basically free up time for editors. And they simplify the complexity and align the industry around common principles. So yeah, I'd say those three things: hybrid cloud, AI, and then this whole notion of like a distributed storage where the media doesn't have to come to the to the users. It's the other way around. The apps come to the media.
You mentioned at the start that you've been in the industry, around 25 years. One thing through that time has been an enormous amount of change, and change continues within the industry. The challenges that customers face has changed, the way that the markets have changed. Just want to ask a little bit about that from your perspective. Is change now more rapid, do you think, than it's ever been before?
I mean, it's always look, I mean, this is Moore's law, right? It's always going to be faster, better for sure. So yeah, I mean, is the change, rapid today? Well, I'm going to go back to, when we had transponders and we were talking about digital, right? That was change back then, huge change. It is rapid for sure, but I think the point is not the speed of change. The point is the speed of adaptability. And I think, I go back to um, now is the time that you're investing in open architectures that will give you the ability to kind of lean forward and basically leverage what's out there in the future. We're talking about AI, we're talking about agents currently. There's going to be more there. But the only way you're going to get there is you're working with someone that's been there, done it. I mean, has proven scale and reliability, and then is embracing interoperability and extending it to their customers.
Do you think what's happening at the moment is transformational within the industry around media workflows? And what I mean by that
Yeah.
is it's not just about the nature of how programs are created and put together. It is about
Yeah.
the delivery. And to pick it up on something else that you said there, really having that focus of tracking costs and also being able to monetize at the end of the day, because ultimately, that's what's going to drive value for news organizations, for example, or for movie studios and things like that as well. Is that the kind of direction of travel, of having that ability to track everything and then really understanding the value of what you have?
Yeah, no, I think Craig, you're right on there for sure. It's transformational in the sense like the supply chain as it has been up until now was, hey, there's a media creation side of the house that actually produces media. And then you know what? There's another set of folks that actually monetize and distribute it. And then there's yet another set of folks that actually buy the media on the advertising side of the house. So there were silos. Those walls are definitely coming down. And I'll give you an example. Like, hey, when you're today buying media, it's not just upfronts, right? It's also being bought programmatically through a live auction in real time, right? On the other side is an advertiser that's running a campaign, and you know what they're saying, I'll participate in an auction. I want to buy relevant media, relevant audience in real time. And guess what? When it comes to the biggest screen, the TV in the house, um, you don't have this notion of cookies. So how do you get relevant media? And this connects back to how media is created. So when you are creating media, I'll take the Avid example. We know the context of the media because we know every frame in that media, right? And we know the audio and the closed caption, and we can take all of that and we can encapsulate that for the content owners into what is called a programmatic open bid object, right? And we can encapsulate that, and we can help them basically take that context, bring it into an open auction, and give the brands and buyers on the other side the ability to see if it's relevant content, it's contextually relevant to what they're looking to do. And what we're doing is we're connecting the two sides, the content that's being created to the monetization, where brands want to know is this relevant to what they're trying to buy from an audience and a content perspective. So my point is, right there, we just brought down the walls, because the folks that know, are helping with the creation of the content, know what that content is about. And the other side, folks that are buying, they're buying in an open auction. And if they can get further insights, it kind of helps monetize the content better. And for on the for the brands, it gives them relevant results in terms of whatever their campaign goals are. That's one example, right?
For
I have others too. I'll say, Craig, um, when you create content today, the distribution is not limited to only TV. I mean, it's exploded, as you know, right? It's all the way from digital to, and then within digital, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc., etc. How do you track your media? How do you know the value of that media, and then the distribution? That piece is changing as well, because you can track now media that's being created, and you can then go in and analyze what distribution channel and what kind of media is working better to you for you from a monetization perspective.
Yeah, there was one word that you mentioned there that I think is really important, which I think is value. And I think one of the challenges that exists within the media industry at the moment is people recognizing the value of what they have and then understanding the value that that then delivers.
Yeah, and like I said, Craig, I go back to what I said, right? I mean, hey, what is the goal? How fast can you take raw media and create finished stories? What does that really equate to? How fast you can get it out and start monetizing it, and helping the content owners maximize value of the content. And like I said, on the other side, brands, to basically go in and get to their campaign goals, and basically connect the two sides.
Listen, Tom, it's been great to chat to you and to get your thoughts. A lot of exciting times ahead. When you look ahead to the next 6-8 months, what's your main priorities now?
Craig, I mean, we are undergoing transformational change here, right? In terms of, like, being cloud first, interoperability, like I said, API first, and so on. So from a technology perspective, it's adopting, like I said, a hybrid multi-cloud architecture, leveraging AI, like I said, and ensuring everything is interoperable. And then I'll say I'm very excited about what we're doing on the product side, right? Like I said, Content Core is going to be a game changer, because hey, it changes the whole paradigm. Where your media sits becomes irrelevant. We basically give you the ability to search across wherever it is. And then, besides Content Core, what we're doing in the Media Composer from a panel SDK, that's exciting stuff too. We're going to basically open, the ecosystem to more creativity, if you may. On the Pro Tools side, I'll say, what we're doing with respect to the first time user experience, what we're doing in terms of focusing on enterprise customers, definitely exciting.
All right. Well, thanks to Tom for sharing his thoughts on all of that. Now, if you want to find out more about Avid Content Core, you could scan the QR code you can see on the screen if you're watching the podcast, or head to the show notes and follow the links, which are there, to the Avid website.
Yeah, there's lots of great information to find out more there. And next time on the podcast, we are going to be speaking to Simon Fern. Simon is the CTO of Marquis. Now, if you don't know who Marquis are or what they do, you're not going to want to miss this, as they deliver a range of really innovative solutions enabling great workflows on premises, in the cloud, or hybrid. So let's get a quick preview now from Simon.
We're leveraging complex workflows, but not making the user need to know about the detail of that.
There's a lot of different players that are involved.
One of the cooler panels so far that has been developed.
It makes it a very efficient and very powerful solution.
Basically go to anything, right?
But they aren't going to really have to learn that we exist.
The world of production and post-production is complex.
We want to simplify and not have people have to learn something new. It's effectively seamless.
Well, looking forward to all of that. And that's all from us for now. We hope you're enjoying the new format. Thanks again to Tom, and thanks to you, Craig. And thanks to the team behind the scenes. Most of all, as always, thanks to you for listening and watching. We'll be back with yet another episode soon where you can learn more from people just like you out there with Making the Media.